Attempt gift swapping, get humiliated. Today was my nephew's 13th birthday and was the day I finally got back at my sister-in-law for her antics. Sister-in-law has had a habit of swapping name tags on the gifts with her cheap last-minute finds since the gifts were opened when the extended guest had left. She'd been successful with the gift I sent over when I was out of town and couldn't attend my nephew's birthday a few years ago, and thought she might try to pull her usual trick. So I got my neighbor in on this, gave him a box with bright yellow wrapping, and asked him to brag about how he got lucky in finding this super rare Star Wars Lego set while sister-in-law stood near, knowing the gifts will be opened later when he left. As expected, sister-in-law decided to generously help set up the gifts and the decorations. I caught her eyeing the box with the yellow wrapping, and before long she accidentally knocked over a few, quickly swapping the tags. After the party, nephew eagerly tore into the presents. The look on sister-in-law's face made me wish we had set up some reality TV camera set up for this. When nephew opened the box with the bright yellow wrapping with her name on it, out came a few packs of cigarettes and a box of contraceptives with a post-it note reading, "HB, you're a man now." Sister-in-law was speechless, and so were the rest of the family. She tried to play it off as a prank and that she wanted nephew to be prepared for adulthood. She was red as a ripe tomato the rest of the night. Edit. A lot of you are asking about how sister-in-law never got caught. Nobody ever found out that she swapped gifts since she targeted people who were not present at the time of opening. My suspicions only started when it happened to me. I did talk to her when I found out about the gift I sent over a few years ago, but she brushed it off as a mistake while arranging the presents. Ex-boyfriend hated how I loaded the dishwasher, made him see the error of his ways. This was over 20 years ago with a boyfriend. I was in a relationship with the know-it-all for far too long. He was anal retentive about how the dishwasher needed to be this way and not that way. His way was the best, yada yada yada. It was exhausting listening to him go on and on about the dishwasher and how my way looked like a T-Rex had loaded it. Finally, I had had enough. I took a package of Oreos and crushed some crumbs in the clean dishes of the dishwasher on the rack when he wasn't looking, and showed him his way wasn't working anymore. Cups, saucers, plates, utensils were covered in a fine film of what looked like dirt. I kept doing this for days, and he kept having to rewash the dishes in the sink, completely flabbergasted as to why the dishes weren't spectacularly clean. He stopped gloating about his dishwashing skills after a while. I have no regrets. My ex had the foresight to plan out her devilish revenge on me many months in advance. My ex and I have known each other since we were teenagers and have always been close. We're very different people though, so we never gave a relationship a try. That changed when we were both in our mid-30s and both ended up being single right around the same time, shortly before winter. Bad timing. Going through a breakup and drinking together while huddling on the couch for warmth led to more, and we ended up dating. Yes, it was a disaster. 3 years of constant fighting until we finally called it quits. You'd be surprised how effectively you can hurt someone's feelings when you've known their wishes and deepest, darkest secrets for over 20 years. We were both really hurt by what we said to each other. I did what I do in these situations and went on a small holiday for a few days. Perfect time for her to gather stuff from my house and move out. That's when she did something that really effed with my head many months in the future. One of my favorite hobbies is doing jigsaw puzzles. It calms me down after work and I can listen to audiobooks for hours while doing it. And I don't mean some 500-piece puzzle that you can do in an evening. I mean huge puzzles with over 15,000 pieces. The largest puzzle I did was 42,000 pieces. I've got a whole room in my basement with a huge custom-built table just for puzzles. It's great because the puzzle can just stay on the table for weeks or months while I plug away at it, and there's no chance of actually bumping pieces off the table and vacuuming them up. Why is that hobby important? Because she knew how much I enjoyed it. She could have just smashed the puzzle I was working on at the time or destroyed the table when she moved out, but no. She simply grabbed a big handful of pieces. Not enough to be noticeable right away, but you're going to notice when you're getting close to finishing it. Many months later, we still weren't talking all that much. We just needed time to cool off. I kept doing my jigsaw puzzle and got close to finishing it. That's when I started to notice that some pieces were definitely missing. Being the nerd that I am, I complained about it in our friends' chat group. I blamed the manufacturer for making a low-quality puzzle. My ex is in that group and saw my messages. Barely 10 minutes went by when she sent a single picture without a comment. It was one of my puzzle pieces with a small note next to it that read, 5 pounds. The chat was erupting with laughter, cheers, and my frustration. She didn't write anything. A day goes by and another picture appears. This time the piece was laying on the floor in her basement with a note that said 10 pounds next to it. This went on for days. every day a new picture and a new location with ever-increasing ransom demands. She put real effort into messing with me. Can you imagine how frustrating it is when every day at the exact same time you know it's going to be posted in your friend's chat group? You open the app and yep, there it is, your friends laughing their butts off at your misfortune. She could have just thrown those pieces away, but she kept them for months just to torture me. Kudos to her. A truly devilish move, and I really respect. In retrospect, it actually makes me chuckle. We've patched things up since then, and we're back to being really good friends. The hostages were exchanged for a few bottles of wine. Nobody can F with your head like your friends.